What's up, nerds? I'm not going to do Beyond the Cover this week because I feel like some people want to get into comics but don't know where to start, or they want to get into a certain character and just don't know where to start. So I'm going to give my personal recommendations to anyone once a month, if anyone wants to listen. So this week I am going to recommend my favorite superhero, Captain America, and I'm going to recommend one of my favorite stories of his. So let's just jump right into it, and let me tell you which story it's going to be. And it's going to be Captain America White by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale. Now, there's a lot more people behind this team, so I'm just going to bring up a few of the names. Well, Jeph Loeb, Tim Sale are like the main guys in the group. We also have David Stewart with colors, Richard Starkings with lettering, John Rochelle with design. There's so many names to this, but everyone did a very good job in this 5-issue series. So it's very simple. It's a 5-issue series. I'm going to mainly do a bunch of just smaller series, so it's easier to digest first going into comic books. Now, to basically describe this story without giving too much away, is this takes place right after Cap gets unfrozen. So Steve Rogers, Captain America, gets unfrozen by the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D., and he freaks out. And then it's just all Cap remembering a story of him and Bucky and Nick Fury and his Howling Commandos working together on a mission in France. Now, this story is told almost like a noir movie. If you picture this like a noir movie, it's really good. It would actually, I think, be a really good Captain America movie. It might be a little dark because, well, Bucky is a kid. Unlike the movies, how the movies portrayed Bucky, Bucky was around maybe 14 to 16. I think he was 16. He was a young teenager. And he was a mail boy, or a mascot as they called him. Someone to go from place to place, pretty much. And how Bucky became Bucky was James Barnes walked in on Steve Rogers getting changed as Cap. So he found out that he was Cap because he walked in on him, and he said pretty much, hey, let me be your partner. And Steve couldn't refuse because Bucky might tell everybody. So that's pretty much how Bucky became the sidekick. And so this is all a story about Cap trying to deal with failing Bucky because he let Bucky die. So like you get brief glimpses of Cap that's in the present time talking about, well, I failed you because I promised I would never let you get hurt. Now, this isn't a story about how Bucky dies. This is just a story of them teaming up with the Howling Commandos and Nick Fury and going into France to try to stop Adolf Hitler and the Red Skull. Now, Adolf Hitler is not in the story, but the Red Skull is. And there are there's one major guest appearance, briefly, from one of the members of the Invaders. I'm not going to say who. And just overall, the feel of the book, it felt like a Captain America book. Now, Jeph Loeb, he's very rocky when it comes to people liking his work and not liking his work. I hate some of his work, but this I love. I will not trash this book at all. I think this is a great book. I think it describes Cap perfectly of how troubled he is, and it got that to its core. And my favorite thing about the books, in every single book, when it mentions, because in all the books it mentions who's writing it, who's drawing, who's editing it, stuff like that. They have a little side bar, a little side piece right here, and you probably can't read it, but it says dedicated to Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Now, those of you who don't know who Joe Simon and Jack Kirby are, those are the original creators of Captain America. And it was very nice to see that in every single book. Just that little piece right there saying dedicated to Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. Because, well, they were trying to honor their memory by making a good Captain America story. and I feel like it worked very well. And I personally love it. I think new readers to Cap, once again, it's rated T for teen, so you have to be a bit of a more mature state to understand some of the stuff. There's a lot of, not violence, but like very thought-provoking stuff and dealing with death. I feel that if you're new to comics and you want to get into Captain America, but you want to understand Captain America, you don't want to just like get into any random book, you should read this book. Now, when I started, this book is very new. When I started, I got into like the 1980s and the 1970s Cap. And I got into Cap and Falcon. I got into stuff like that. But I love all pieces of Cap because Cap's my favorite superhero. I feel like this is one of the best Cap comics I've ever read. It's one of the best comics I've ever read. And I still have a lot more comics to read. I've read a lot of comics before, but I still have more. So, but from my word, I would say if you're new to comics, you want to understand Cap, you want a good story, you want a noir-like story that's not necessarily superhero versus supervillain, it's more like an in-depth like thought process, remembering, having regrets, and mixed in with a bit of action here and there. Pick up Captain America White. I highly recommend it. I think it's a great story. I wish it ran a bit longer. It's only a 5-issue series. Technically 6 because there's a 0, but the 0 is put in with the number 1. So yeah, that's my recommendation. Now, did you guys read Captain America White? Are you going to? Please let me know in the comments or on my Twitter. Yeah, and if you have any Captain America recommendations for, in book-wise, put it in the comments down below. Because the whole thing is I want to start a conversation about pretty much, oh, I recommend this book, I recommend this book. So, like, everyone's recommending each other books and learning new things. And if you want me to recommend a book of another hero that you want to get into, please let me know in the comments, and I'll gladly recommend a book series. I want to do this more often. I would love to get people to go, I want to read that. I want to get to know these characters. And until Friday, when I talk about politics and comics again, like I promised 2 weeks ago, I'll see you then. And always remember to stay nerdy.